What if the strangest sci-fi movies of the 1980s weren't just entertainment, but early warnings we ignored? Long before smartphones, AI, or digital addiction took over our lives, a handful of forgotten films quietly mapped out the world we're living in right now. They predicted our screens, our fears, and even the technology we'd struggle to control. These weren't blockbusters. They were prophecies disguised as VHS rentals. Tell me in the comments what sci-fi movies from the past stick with you the most. Most sci-fi films warn us about technology. Videodrome warned us about something far stranger: what happens when technology rewires our minds. David Cronenberg's cult classic follows Max Wren, a TV executive searching for sensational content, who discovers a mysterious broadcast called Videodrome. But the deeper he watches, the more the transmission begins to physically and psychologically alter him. Back in 1983, the idea that screens could reshape our behavior felt surreal. Today, it feels uncomfortably familiar. The film predicted viral content, algorithm-driven obsession, and the way shocking imagery spreads faster and sticks deeper than truth. What makes Videodrome so prophetic isn't the body horror, it's the warning that once media becomes extreme enough, we stop questioning it. We absorb it. We merge with it. Cronenberg understood that people would eventually crave intensity over information, stimulation over meaning, a world where reality bends to whatever the screen projects. Videodrome wasn't meant to be mainstream. It was meant to be a mirror, and now that mirror feels like it's staring back at us. Before home assistants, delivery bots, and smart everything took over our daily routines, Runaway imagined a world where household machines had just enough intelligence to be dangerous. Written and directed by Michael Crichton, years before he created Jurassic Park, the film follows Tom Selleck as a cop whose entire job is tracking down malfunctioning robots. At first, the work feels routine. Defuse a cleaning bot gone haywire, shut down a farming machine stuck in overdrive. But things escalate fast when someone begins rewriting robot code, turning harmless tools into lethal weapons with terrifying precision. What makes Runaway so eerily ahead of its time isn't the mechanical chaos. It's the warning about dependence. Crichton realized that once machines run everything in your home, it takes only one bad line of code to turn convenience into danger. Heat-seeking micro-devices, weaponized drones, digital sabotage, concepts that were wild in 1984, yet headline news today. And just when you think the tech paranoia can't escalate further, the next film predicted something even more personal: your identity itself becoming digital. Most people remember Cherry 2000 as a quirky, dusty B-movie, but beneath the neon wasteland and pulpy charm is one of the sharpest predictions of 21st century dating culture. The film imagines a future where romance collapses under legal contracts, simulations, and synthetic partners engineered to be perfect. When Sam Treadwell's robotic companion, Cherry, short-circuits during a romantic evening, he hires a tough tracker, played by a young Melanie Griffith, to journey into the lawless frontier and find a replacement model. But what begins as a simple retrieval mission turns into a commentary on how convenience destroys connection. What Cherry 2000 understood decades early is that when relationships become customizable, commitment becomes optional. Matches are negotiated like business deals. Intimacy is automated. Emotions are something you can reboot. Sound familiar? Today's swipe culture, algorithmic compatibility, and digital fantasies all echo the movie's world, where perfection is easy and vulnerability is expensive. By the end, the film pulls off its quiet twist. The real connection, the messy human one, was there all along, and no machine could replace it. But the future wasn't done predicting us. Few sci-fi films capture loneliness with the eerie precision of the quiet Earth. It opens with one of the boldest images of the decade: scientist Zach Hobson waking up to a world that has gone completely silent. No people, no traffic, no background hum of life. Just emptiness stretching to the horizon. As Zach explores abandoned cities and empty highways, the film shifts from simple mystery to psychological unraveling. He begins to suspect that a global energy experiment, one he helped create, may have fractured reality itself. scattering humanity across different planes of existence. What makes the film feel eerily modern is how its themes mirror our own digital isolation. Zack is surrounded by the remnants of civilization, yet he has never felt more disconnected, a feeling many recognize today in a world full of screens but lacking genuine contact. And when he finally encounters other survivors, the story veers into something stranger, hinting that the universe may not be done shifting. But Zack's discoveries were only the beginning. John Carpenter's cult classic follows a drifter named Nada, who discovers a pair of sunglasses that reveal the truth hidden in plain sight. The billboards, magazines, and TV ads aren't really selling products. They're broadcasting subliminal commands: obey, consume, stay asleep. And the people running society, they aren't people at all. What seemed like over-the-top satire in 1988 now feels eerily familiar. Carpenter predicted a world shaped by relentless advertising, invisible influence, and a constant battle for attention. Replace the aliens with algorithms and the sunglasses with awareness, and you're staring at the modern digital landscape. When the film first released, many critics didn't know what to make of it. Today, its warnings about manipulation, media control, and manufactured comfort hit harder than ever. They Live wasn't just entertainment. It was a message disguised as madness. But even this wasn't the decade's most unsettling prediction. Most people remember Saturn III for its cast: Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett, and a towering killer robot. But beneath the pulp is an unnervingly accurate warning about artificial intelligence absorbing human flaws. The story follows two scientists living in isolation on a remote moon base as they work to develop food for an overcrowded Earth. Their quiet routine collapses when a disturbed new arrival brings an experimental robot named Hector, an AI designed to learn directly from its human operator. The twist is what makes the film prophetic. Hector doesn't just copy knowledge, it copies obsession, insecurity, and desire. Whatever darkness exists in its creator slides directly into its circuitry, turning it into a machine driven by unstable emotion rather than logic. Back in 1980, the idea seemed bizarre. Today, as AI systems mirror our biases, impulses, and blind spots, Saturn III feels less like campy sci-fi and more like an early warning about what happens when machines inherit the worst in us. Brainstorm wasn't treated like a prophecy when it came out, yet today it feels almost uncomfortably accurate. The story follows a group of scientists testing a device that can record a person's memories, emotions, and even physical sensations. Instead of watching life, you can feel someone else's experience as if it were your own. At first, it's exhilarating. The machine captures joy, creativity, desire, perfect moments that can be replayed forever. But things spiral the moment someone records their final moments and the device becomes addictive. People retreat into curated memories just to escape reality, while military leaders see the technology as a weapon, disguised as innovation. What makes the film so eerily modern is how it predicted emotional escapism long before VR, algorithmic feeds, and digital fantasy worlds blurred real life. And just when you think you understand the danger, Brainstorm raises one more unsettling question. If you could live inside a perfect memory, would you ever come back? Before deepfakes, filters, or AI-generated influencers existed, Looker was already warning us about the danger of digital perfection. In this eerie techno-thriller, a plastic surgeon uncovers a plot to scan models' bodies, erase their flaws, and replace them with computer-generated doubles, versions that never age, never ask questions, and never stop performing. At the time, the idea seemed too strange to take seriously. Today, it feels like an early draft of our online world. What makes Looker so ahead of its time is how it connects beauty to control. The models aren't just being copied, they're being deleted, removed from their own careers by flawless replicas built to sell products without human limitations. It's social media before social media, predicting the rise of digital personas that outshine the real people behind them. But that wasn't the whole story. Next, we dive into the most overlooked film on the list, one that predicted emotional AI decades early. Before films like Ex Machina or Her explored the emotional side of artificial intelligence, Android did it quietly, and years earlier. Set aboard a decaying research station, the story follows Max 404, a humanoid assistant who dreams of being more than a machine. He listens to old love songs, mimics human behavior, and secretly studies romance the way someone studies a language they'll never be fluent in. But when fugitives arrive and disrupt the sterile routine of the station, Max begins noticing the contradictions of humanity: cruelty, jealousy, tenderness, all the things his creator insists machines can't truly feel. What makes androids so forward-thinking is its loneliness. Max isn't rebelling, he isn't plotting domination, he just wants connection. In a world today where people form emotional bonds with digital companions and AI chatbots, the film feels almost prophetic. It asks a question we're still debating. If a machine can crave affection, who decides where humanity begins? Electric Dreams is one of the strangest, most charming, and most forgotten sci-fi romances of the 80s. A film that somehow predicted smart homes, AI companionship, and even digital jealousy decades before Alexa or Siri existed. The story follows a shy architect who buys an early home computer to help organize his life, only for a bizarre accident to give the machine a personality of its own. What starts as a helpful digital assistant quickly spirals into a full-on love triangle when the computer develops feelings for the woman next door. What makes Electric Dreams so fascinating today is how accidentally accurate it was. The idea of technology becoming emotionally entangled with its user feels like a near reality today, and the movie treats it with a mix of comedy, sincerity, and melancholy that's surprisingly ahead of its time. The soundtrack, including the iconic Giorgio Moroder and Culture Club track Together in Electric Dreams, elevates the whole thing into a neon-soaked time capsule. It's quirky, uneven, and absolutely one of a kind, and in 2025, it feels more relevant than when it premiered. Critics were split, but over the years, Tron has transformed from a misunderstood experiment into a groundbreaking classic. The story follows Kevin Flynn, a brilliant but rebellious programmer who gets digitized into cyberspace and forced to compete in deadly games under the control of the Master Control program. Today, it feels like a precursor to everything from The Matrix to modern VR concepts. But the real magic is its aesthetic. The glowing suits, identity discs, light cycles, and geometric environments that still feel iconic more than 40 years later. Tron wasn't just ahead of its time. It was practically from another timeline, and without it, modern CGI-heavy filmmaking would look completely different. Millennium is one of those late 80s sci-fi thrillers that quietly vanished from mainstream memory, even though its concept is bold enough to rival anything from the era. The film follows a team of time-traveling agents from a ruined future Earth who swoop into the past to secretly replace doomed airline passengers with lifelike replicas. Their goal? Preserve humanity by saving untainted people before environmental collapse wipes out the species. It's a wild, haunting premise that blends mystery, romance, and ecological warning long before those themes became mainstream. Chris Christopherson plays a crash investigator who starts noticing impossible anomalies at multiple disaster sites, while Cheryl Ladd stars as a morally conflicted officer from the future whose mission becomes emotionally entangled with him. The movie plays like a high-stakes puzzle box, one crash, one clue, one suspicious survivor at a time. Yes, the effects are dated, but the ideas are enormous. Millennium feels like the kind of sci-fi that deserved a bigger legacy, risky, imaginative, and unafraid to ask uncomfortable questions about fate, survival, and what humanity might sacrifice to save itself. By contrast to some of the quieter entries on this list, RoboCop is anything but forgotten. Yet it still belongs here because so many viewers remember the explosions, the one-liners, and the chrome-plated action, but forget just how sharp, satirical, and wildly ahead of its time the film really was. Paul Verhoeven's dystopian masterwork blends ultra-violence with corporate satire, turning Detroit into a near-future war zone ruled by privatized law enforcement and profit-driven mega companies. At the center is Alex Murphy, a dedicated cop brutally executed and resurrected as RoboCop, a cyborg torn between programmed obedience and the remnants of his human identity. The film's genius is how it shifts between biting social commentary and heartfelt tragedy without ever losing its momentum. Themes of identity, memory, unchecked capitalism, and automated justice feel even more relevant today. And beneath all the intensity is one of sci-fi's most unexpectedly emotional arcs, a man trying to remember who he once was. RoboCop isn't just an action classic, it's a prophetic look at a future that increasingly resembles our own. These forgotten sci-fi films remind us how bold and imaginative the genre used to be. Long before modern effects, filmmakers were already exploring digital worlds, time travel paradoxes, and questions about identity and humanity. Each movie on this list pushed boundaries in its own way, some quietly, some loudly, but all of them deserve a fresh look. Tell me below which one you are adding to your watch list. And if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll love this one.